YouTube page, check out my YouTube channel. Those who know me, my name is Rick, also known as Rick's 2 Cents. Those that know me, thank you for stopping by, checking out my channel. I have a special guest with me today, brother from another mother that I've known for a long time. And I just kind of doing these collaborative videos, just kind of getting a difference of opinion. You know, I know I always say the channel's name's Rick's 2 Cents, but it's also sometimes valid to get, you know, someone to get their opinion, whether they agree or disagree with you or agree to disagree. But to get a difference of opinion, because obviously you're coming to us looking for advice for financial decisions you're going to make. So, all right, brother, you want to introduce yourself and let me know the name of your company and give a little background on you?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Devante Harris. I am the owner of Primary Print Company, or Primary Print Co. I mean, that's a whole tangent we can go into if you're talking about LLCs and stuff. So it's still two different business names or entities, but you know, following the same one. So yeah, my name is Devante Harris. I'm the owner of Primary Print Co. I own a DTG business, but it is a full service brand building company, if you will. So we do DTG, we do embroidery, we do screen printing as well. And yeah, I've been having the business for about 4 years, and I love every bit of it. It comes with its challenges, but you know, I wouldn't change this for the world at all. You know, I love what I do.
You know, I think it's crazy. I've been kind of like watching YouTube, maybe doing a little bit of stalking, I guess I should say, right? And I think it's like early on when I first met you, it was like me, you, Rich from Brand Empires, Sean from SE Shirts, Big Brando, Stan Banks, you know, and you see this like group and everyone's cliquey and kind of growing together, helping each other, you know, and not like a rivalry or hate. But it's crazy that like some of these guys just fell off. That like seem they're kind of top in their game. You know. I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're solid. I was gonna say, one of the things that that in this industry, I think when people are coming up, they are more friendly because they are looking for advice, right? Or they want to learn as much information, so they're gonna follow and stalk just a little bit to see who has the game that they're willing to give out knowledge and whatnot, you know. But there's a handful of people that remain somewhat genuine to the cause of everything, you know what I mean? Like, I myself am one of those people. From the day I started to the person I am now, you can always get information out of me, you know. There are people, and this is not to downplay anybody or talk bad. I won't like mention indirectly names because I don't want any ill intent or anything like that. But there are people that you can talk to recently that you thought you may have known that are completely different people years down the line. You know what I mean? Right. And it's unfortunate because in this industry, there are over 6 billion people in this world, right? You should be able to share information, give out information. Now, mind you, I charge for certain things as well. But you should be able to give out information without hindering anybody's abilities to succeed.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's, I think that's what also had a play in certain people falling off because they switch up who they are, you know? And then it reflects on that character, and then, you know, also filming and stuff, doing all this at the same time, it is a challenge, you know what I mean? But there's so much more than just not filming. There's a lot that goes into it that causes people to kind of just, you know, shift and then drop off out of nowhere, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that these guys aren't doing good, probably, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have you talked to Sean at all lately, or?
I don't talk to Sean anymore.
Okay, you know, I sent him a text like a couple days ago, and I was like, "Hey, brother, are you all right?" You know, like, man, I haven't talked to you at all. I mean, Stan Banks called me when DTF first kind of like hit the market.
Yeah.
And I was kind of expecting me to kind of be the first to jump on YouTube and start talking about it. And I didn't because I didn't know a lot about it. I was going through my own experiments, you know, and I don't want to, sometimes people, they want to be the first to say something, right? And I don't always want to be the first because sometimes you look like an ass, like flat out, because you don't know what you're talking about. You're learning the process, or you think you know what you're talking about, and later you're like, whoa, I was way wrong. I'm doing this a total different way.
Yeah.
So, you know,
even there is a common misconception about DTF and digital transfers. They're hybrid transfers.
Right.
So there's two different things also, which is why I myself personally didn't jump on the whole, like, I mean, I showcased this on my Instagram of me doing DTF, right? But the reason why I don't really talk about it is because I still feel like there is certain flaws in DTF and not a lot of truth behind the hybrid transfers either that kind of coincide them together. So it just gives me some reserve, because I also give people a lot of the right information 100% of the time, you know, and I don't want to taint or give something that messes up somebody's growth or something like that, you know what I mean? So that's why I've refrained from, you know, also myself doing this. And Stan called me too. Stan was like, have you gotten a DTF, you know, with this printer, what are your thoughts? And I'm like, I can't give you any information because I myself don't trust it all the way yet, you know what I mean, in ways. But I do it now, but on a small scale, and I can explain why, you know, as we go on.
Right, yeah. He called me. He wanted to actually fly out to Chicago, and, you know, you're a Chicago boy too, right? You're originally from...
I have family from Chicago. That's where my family's from. Okay. I'm actually in Idaho currently. But I know about Chicago, yeah.
Yeah, so he was going to fly out here, and that was, like, during the peak of COVID.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, man, I got a 2-year-old, like, you know, he's not vaccinated, like, can't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And so I think he was kind of maybe a little upset at me, but it is what it is. He got over it, you know? And then a little while later, he did a video with brother Ernest, and I was like, and Ernest gave me some jabs. We're cool. I got no beef with Ernest. But he definitely gave me some jabs, like, dude, like, that should have been you, you know? I'm like, whatever.
That's another thing. Like, I mean, so Stan, and like I said, if anybody's watching, you know, that is, like, linked, I have no problem being super transparent. This is not to, like, talk bad about anybody. This is just to state facts here. Stan wanted to do something similar as well, but I told him no, because it didn't seem as authentic to me. You know, if somebody is trying to come into your space and do certain things, it just does not seem right all the time. You know what I mean? And it's not that you mentally know, like, oh man, this could have been huge. It's just a gut feeling of, like, this ain't the time to do this. Let's not do it. And then from there, me and Stan's relationship kind of just went like, and then I don't know if you know that Stan is with SureColor.
Yeah, he's always been right? A long time.
And they wanted me to, like, you know, work with them and market and help them, you know, push the SureColor and things like that. But again, it's just certain things in place that I just don't feel too much comfortable with, because you don't really know the intentions behind certain things.
Right.
You know, and if you don't have those reserves, then, you know, then you're not human, I guess. You know what I mean? You know, those reserves help you and make those smart decisions and help you grow. So it might have not been the perfect time for him to come out to Chicago and work with you. But you're doing all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
well,
you're doing good. You know what I mean?
People ask me, they're like, Rick, why are you doing these videos? You know, and then two, how come I haven't yet, and I've been holding close to my chest, how come I haven't yet blasted out brands? Like, they're like, dude, you know, what's the inks you're using? What's, you know, where are your suppliers? I've even had people like, dude, we'll buy your list. Like, we understand you've wasted a lot of money, you know, to source out all these. How much do you want for the list? And I'm like, what? I'm like, look, that's coming.
Yeah.
But that I'm not there yet. And it's not that I haven't found those suppliers. It's I don't want anyone to think I have ill intentions. I'm not making these videos because I'm gonna drop an affiliate link and say go to so and so for their ink or go to so and so for that.
Yeah.
And ultimately the reason that I'm doing these videos is for the free 99 knowledge. And why am I doing the free 99 knowledge? Because what we're doing is we're creating competition, right?
Yep.
And when you teach someone, like you said, they could be really cool to you until they're at the level, smile in my face all the time, you want to take my place. You know that oldie song?
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But, you know, when they come to the point that they could be a threat to you or they try to be a threat to you, then the relationship sours, you know?
Yeah, it goes dual, and it's unfortunate, you know, because there was some people in this industry that I thought were friends, you know, and it goes stale when they see you as the competition. But like I said, there's 6 billion people.
Right.
Or I think there's even more than 6 billion people in the United States or in the world. And the fact that this competition gets in the way of friendships is outlandish to me. You know what I mean? But that's how people operate. You know what I mean? You can't change that.
There's definitely a ton of money to be made. There's definitely, no reason to be cutthroat. There's a ton of business to be made, and just no reason to be like that. But but the main reason that I say that I do this is because even though you are creating competition, what you're doing is you're actually making an educated consumer and an educated business owner. And because when someone does DTG poor, when someone does DTF poor, it sours your business, right?
Yep.
Because if somebody has a bad experience with DTF, if somebody has a bad experience with DTG, right off the bat, they're like, I don't know. Like, why? What's your reserve? Like, why would you say that? DTG is awesome or DTF's awesome. Oh, no, because of this or that. And so if you start teaching people to do it right, it's going to better you, because DTG as a whole, earns a better reputation. DTF as a whole earns a better reputation. And when they have a bad reputation, that reputation's with you, because that's how you are supplying your shirts or whatever to your customers.
Yeah.
So
100%. This is like I said, like I have enough information to start my own DTG course. And that's coming, just like as you said, the information that you have is coming as well. I actually just finished a DTG selling guide on how to get customers and retain those customers.
Nice.
And I'm going to be rolling that out in December. At the end of December, I'm sorry, beginning of the year. And the reason why there is no rush to do this, like we said, to put this out, because let's say you didn't know me. Anybody that's watching this right now that goes, oh, he seems like a good guy, let me go look at his work, and all I'm on there is going, buy my course, buy this,
Ninja.
Exactly. And it's like, you're gaining face value of going, oh, I want to learn how to do this, I want to make money, sure, but you're not really seeing the full me, right? Which is why I give information first, learn first, and then with all my setbacks and workarounds, I'm able to compile them in a solid foundational formal base of information, and then I can distribute that. I didn't just create this selling guide out of fucking thin air. You know what I mean? It's more so like I'm 4 years deep into this business.
Right.
I grow like 3% every year. You know what I mean? Which is realistic. If somebody's going, oh, I grow like 30% every year, they're full of shit. Excuse my language, but that's the truth.
Right.
And so I'd rather not BS anybody on the front end or the back end. I would build, my foundation, however long it may take, and then when I'm ready to sell that information, for my benefit, it's gonna explode and do 10 times the the amount that I would have done if I did it, when I first jumped out into this. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, so I think it's important what you said, though, is the building your foundation, because you see a lot of these guys, I mean, hey, if you got good credit, you can buy anything, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you're gonna be able to make the payments, so that doesn't mean you're gonna continue to scale. If a lot of us are starting this out of our home, a lot of us are, I honestly, I have no in the immediate future plans on going to a retail environment. I have a big enough workspace that I'm content right now in my space and in my lane, and with my situation, what it brings to the table, and being able to do other things. Like, you have other side hustles the same as I do, and I'm comfortable with that, because at the end of the day, if you get an order for 300 shirts and you're doing your one job during the day and you're pressing those out at 3 o'clock in the morning, nobody knows. They just know they got the shirts 40 hours later.
Yep. And
that's the great thing about this, that you can either start this as a side hustle. You don't have to worry about, quitting your primary job. Like, I'm just going to, they say take a leap of faith. I'm going to quit my job and all of a sudden these t-shirts are going to pay my bills. You can do this on the side and scale it to a point. Or guess what? You can just have 2 hustles or 3 or 4.
Yeah. Yep. No, that you touch a good note on that. Like, okay, so Yeah, I don't know if you remember this. I'm pretty sure you do because it was like what, I think like a year ago when I had my office space.
Yep.
So the only reason why people so people will get this misconstrued. I didn't get an office space just to be like, oh, I got an office space, y'all. What, you know? I got the office space as an experiment. You know, I went through my accountant and we talked about everything. We were like, you know, realistically, can I do this? She's like, yeah. She's like, do you have to? No. And I was like, well, I want to as an experimental trial. I wanted to see if having a office added any value to my business. And for anybody that is listening, having an office space, like Rick said, there is no value in spending money on overhead when you don't need to. You are literally throwing money away. And I knew this going in, but I wanted to see if it would bring in my customer demographic of like foot traffic.
Right.
Absolutely did not. Now, there was a smoke shop across the street that was bringing in foot traffic all the time. They're dealing with a different demographic. You're not really buying tobacco products online, you know, unless it's like from a small business, really, you know. But this smoke shop is well established. They got the foot traffic every day. They're not selling T-shirts, you know. So if it was a T-shirt shop like I was, people are not really doing shirts. They're more online shopping because that's the way the world has moved. But we don't know these things unless we experiment, right? So that whole process of me being in the shop was an experimental process. And now I look back at it and I'm like, it was good that you did it to know, but you really don't have to be in a work office space. You don't have to rent anything. If you have a garage or even a bedroom or your living room, you can start this as a side hustle. You don't have to. Exactly. You don't have to quit your right. I know. Put your family to work too. Yeah. You don't have to. You don't have to quit your job. Now, me personally, I would tell you that if you really wanted to dive into this business and succeed, I wouldn't quit my job until I at least saw like a 3 consistent month period of that totaling up to like 30 to 40 grand. Right. You know what I mean? So I didn't quit my job until I was like, oh shit, I just made $40,000. Now, obviously that's not all profit, but it was like a consistent like $10,000 month, $15,000 month. And if you're not there yet, or you go based off your means, right? If you, let's say you were in your garage, you didn't have any overhead, you're paying, you know, X amount of dollars for rent, but you only needed $5,000 to $8,000 to survive. If you had 3 months of $5,000 to $8,000 a month, quit your job and do the DTG full time, you know. But until then, you don't have to feel like you gotta be somebody bigger or different. Go get a shop. You can use your garage and bedroom. Nobody cares where these shirts are coming from. They just want them done right. Absolutely. At the end of the day. You know what I mean? I think the only way it would make sense that would be an advantage, if you're in Hawaii, I get it, right? If you're in the Florida Keys, you're in Atlantic City, you know, on the boardwalk. If you're in Seaside in New Jersey on the boardwalk, you know, if you're on some kind of strip that's like heavy touristy, I get it, you know, because every time you walk on those kind of areas, you see T-shirt shops. There might be 3 or 4 just lined up. You know what I mean? Yep. Uh-huh. But as far as being in a commercial environment, you know, in an industrial park, like you said, are they more impressed, dude? I have some, I can't say names, but I have some pretty famous, at least locally in Chicago, known Mexican bands. I mean, these guys are like known. Yeah. And they come to my house and they had no problem. What's up, bro? Want to drink a beer? You know what I mean? These dudes are like, they're somebody. You know what I'm saying? I don't consider myself a somebody. I'm just like an everyday Joe like anybody else. You know what I mean? These guys are somebodies. You know what I mean? They don't have to come to some Mexican guy's house and buy shirts out of his garage type deal. You know what I mean? And I'm making them at my house, but they choose to. And you know what? And there's value in that. Because the same thing is too. It's like if I went to some big giant corporation, they're purchasing online. You know, when they pay that money, it's like whatever. But when they pay you money, they see your daughter, they see your wife, they get to know your family, they see your house. So they remember that, you know what I mean? And you grow with them, and you grow value in that customer. You know, I went from that band, you know, he refuses to tell any other band that I make his shirts. Yeah. Because they keep asking, like, dude, who makes your shirts? And at first he's like, yeah, man, I'll hook you up. And now he's like, nah, man. Like, you're the secret sauce, man. I can't give out the secret sauce. And I'm like, that's cool.
But you know what I mean. But like it's crazy though. Like just growing your brand with someone, and as they grow, when you establish that relationship, you grow together. You know, from
Yep.
ordering 10 shirts to, hey Rick, I want to order 4,000, 5,000 worth of shirts, and I'm like, yo, bro, I can't float you. You need to bring up some cash, you know, and they'll drop the cash, no problem at all, because you've established that relationship. They're not worried about it. You know what I mean? And I tell people, like, it's not that it's a lot of money, but it's not one job. I got 3, 4, 5 other jobs. Maybe someone hit me the same thing. That's a lot of cash flow, you know.
Yeah.
And these people know, and it's, you know, that's just a great thing. But so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, building those bonds are good, and like I said, I just had the president of Brother Speed, the motorcycle gang.
Nice.
Well, not gang, a group. You know, but yeah, I mean, it's a biker gang. You know what I mean? They're awesome. You know, they got a nonprofit and stuff, but it's a really big group out here in Idaho. And dude comes in. We met a couple times. Now he's met my kids. He's met my wife. You know what I mean? And so, like, those relationships are important. And again, stress in the fact that people do not care about your big, luxurious office space. And honestly, that makes them feel intimidated.
Right.
You know what I mean? So having people come to your garage or your little this, that, and the other, you're able to relate to certain people with humble beginnings and understand, like, this is what, you know, I'm working with, or how I came up,
Yep.
and how I'm going to grow this thing. You know what I mean? And yeah, they will grow to you. Those friendships become family bonds, you know,
Yep.
honestly.
I was I pulled up to a liquor store, and this gangster ass Mexican dude had this cholo looking shirt on, right? Now my truck's all tinted up, and I pull up. I'm driving an Escalade, it's all tinted up, and I pull up and I slow it down. I roll the window down, and this dude looks at me like, you know,
Where you from?
we're about to get into it. And I rolled my window all the way down. I looked at him and I kind of smiled, and he's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "Oh man, you're wearing my shirt." He's like, "What you talking about?" I'm like, "That shirt, that's mine." So what the fuck you talking about? I'm wearing your shirt. I'm like, "Hey, where'd you buy that?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I own that company who made that shirt." "Oh man, what are you talking about?" I said, "Dude, there's only 3 stores in this area that carry my line of shirts. So you buy it from this place, this place, this place." He starts laughing. He's like, "Oh man, you're not joking. Like, you really did make this shirt." I'm like, "Yeah." You know what I mean? Like, dude, I literally made that shirt. And it's like this skull with like a Mexican flag built into it, and has like this dress look. And he's like, "Oh dude, your clothes are so dope, man. I have about 5 or 6 different of your shirts." And I'm like, "Yeah." But it's just funny that when you finally are somewhere and you see someone wearing something of yours, that's kind of like that's like an aha moment to me. Like, it was like, whoa. Or like the first time I got recognized from YouTube, I was at Home Depot, you know, and the dude walks up to me and he was like, "Hey man, yeah, my wife really hates you, you know." Ha ha ha. Starts laughing, and I was like, "Oh." And I thought, I've been to 7 different high schools. So I thought, hey, maybe it's a kid from school. You know, I don't remember him, whatever. I'm like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, "Hey, well, a lot of wives don't like me. Don't feel bad, you know. Sometimes some wives like me and their husbands don't like me either. You know what I mean?" And so I start laughing. And he was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "You know, I bought that DeWalt sander you were talking about." And I was like, "Huh? What are you talking about?" He's like, "YouTube." And I was like, "Oh, damn." Like, I didn't even, you know, he didn't even. So it's kind of weird that, you know, but like you said, just building a reputation, building your name, you know, and I always say, like, don't pump and dump, you know, and that's why I'm not right away, you know, when I first started off, I was seeking companies to sponsor me, like, "Hey, we sponsor me.
Same. I was doing this. Yeah.
And now it's the opposite. It's like, nope, you know, because I don't want to, if I say something's good, it's got to be true.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's what it is. I was actively looking for sponsors and stuff too. But then as I started growing and knowing my own value, I stopped, and now these companies seek me out. You know what I mean? And mind you, though, I don't post as often as I want to on YouTube, just based on, you know, my constraints right now. But I am getting back into it, and I'm doing it in a different way, and I'll explain it to you in a second. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
So how I'm having content made is, well, I mean, I don't know if you know this. I've been structuring it on TikTok like crazy, right? And it's allowing me to really focus on the generation of where this online structure is headed. And even with YouTube, I'm starting to post more shorts rather than full videos.
I started doing whatever there.
Because attention span is like super important. It's different. Right. And so I try not to do like the full length videos, but that's where I'm going to get back into again, and I'm going to section those videos off and do shorts, and just kind of sporadically put my content strategically everywhere. But yeah, these companies I don't reach out to anymore. They actively seek me out, and usually most of the time I'm just like, no, I'm done promoting your stuff. I'm moving towards putting out my own stuff now. What I mean?
My daughter keeps yelling at me, I need to do TikTok, and I'm like, But I tell you what I have done is these videos that we do, like these collaboratives, and a lot of these videos, they're about, I figured the YouTube algorithm is, the secret sauce is 1 hour and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So since these videos are long, like you said, people have short attention span. In the bottom of the description below, in the comments below, I put a timeline.
Yep.
So if we're bullshitting right now and you're not interested, but there's topics that you are, you can click it and skip ahead. Because if you're just skipping ahead on your own, you could be missing something that they need to learn.
Yeah.
So for those watching that, just know that. So, but I think it's kind of important that we just kind of talk about this, and so that people who don't know us kind of get an understanding before we start sharing the secret sauce and what this video is really about. That our background, and that we don't have any ill intentions. Because I practice what I preach. I'm not a pump and dump. You know what I mean? If I say anything, I'm a good faith. I call myself a Christian man for a reason. But yeah. So I'm a good faith that I'm not giving any alternative motive. I know that people always said to me, "Hey Rick, man, you make a ton of money. I'm a lineman, right?" And I tell people, I don't make a ton of money. I work a ton of hours.
Yeah.
Go work 117 hours. Go work 3 days without sleeping. Go home for 8 hours and go back to work for 2 days straight with no sleep. Oh, you made $7,000. Yeah. Go get 3 jobs. You'll make the same. So the reason that people may say to me, Rick, why are you doing this? Like, you don't need to do this. And what I explain to people is that I don't want to work 100 hours a week every week. I don't want to work every weekend for the entire summer. I put a big pool in my backyard, and I worked last year every summer, every weekend the entire summer on an emergency. Because when you're a lineman, the way you make your money is emergencies, because you can pay double time. The moment they call you, to the moment you get home, you're on double time. If you don't go home for 2 days, you're on double time the whole time.
Yeah.
But then you're not going on vacations. You're not. It's 4th of July. You're working. So I want to be able to have the same type of lifestyle for my family, for my children, but to be able to spend that time with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, not to cut you off, but this is exactly why I have worked this business, or just I learned the understanding of what business owning can do for you as a whole, right? Some businesses fail. That's just life. But if you can find something that works and you run with it, you're working countless hours and making good money. And again, you're not retaining all this money, but you can provide yourself the time and the lifestyle you want if you so will it to be. Like me, this year coming up, guys, and this is not to brag or boast about anything. I work hard for this shit. If you follow me on Instagram, you understand this motherfucker's always working. You know what I mean? Like really putting in work. And the conversation that the world's not ready for is this day and age, people don't like to work.
Right.
And that's an issue. And there's nothing wrong with leveraging time, but the issue of not wanting to work is a very big issue on its own, right? And so me, I work hard, but I have a cruise already paid for in February. After that, we have a trip in Yellowstone already paid for. We have a Disneyland trip paid for. We're going to Alaska in the summer. And then at the end of the year, we're going to the Bahamas and New Orleans.
Nice.
All this stuff is already taken care of, right? And the fact is, I'm working. I traded in my 40 hours a week for 1,000+ hour a week, right? But I don't see it as that way. I see it as I work a lot. I give my family their allotted time. Nobody's neglected. And then I still can go out and do whatever I want to. I'm always working, yes, but I'm not always working at the same time, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
I get you. Yeah. And there's a difference, too, when, working for yourself versus working someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always tell people that if you did the math as a business owner, you'd be like minimum wage, but you can't think about that, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to think like, what are my bills and what am I making per month, and how much after my bills are spent do I have left? Oh, we're good. We're good. We're good. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what I mean? That's exactly how it is.
So I went to sleep at 7:30 this morning, and here we are. You know what I mean? And then I had a company show up today with a trailer and drop off 6 boxes of jackets. You know what I mean? And pick up 3 boxes of jackets.
Yeah.
And they call me at 7:30. I'm literally getting ready to lay back in bed. I'm tired. And I get a text message. Hey, are the shirts ready? Can I come pick up the jackets? And I'm like, yeah, come pick them up. And then I get another text message. I'm 3 minutes away. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I'm getting up.
Yeah, you see, we're supposed to have this meet. We're supposed to have this meet, and then I didn't go to bed last night until almost 4 in the morning.
Right.
Because I was up just working on things. And again, people understand you gotta work. Sometimes your brain is not satisfied enough, and it'll keep you awake and use that time to work. Right? There you go. And so I was up, and then I wake up at like, I want to say like 9:45. I'm already late. I try to get up at like 7. Even if I sleep like shit. You know what I mean? I try to get up at 7. And then I get a ring on UPS, the UPS guy. Luckily, I know him because he sees me frequently.
Right.
And he rings my doorbell. Any other UPS man, if my packages weren't outside, he wouldn't have took them.
Right.
He rings it, my bell, knocks on the door, and I wake up out of bed. I'm like, oh shit. And then I gotta go. And then I'm in my underwear, no shirt, and I'm like, my boy, my bad. 1 second, let me get dressed. I'll get you this stuff. And he's like, no worries. And so he waited for me, which is awesome. And then after that, as soon as I finish that, USPS is knocking on my door because I forgot those packages outside. But I know these people because I see them quite often, right? And then from there, I'm like, Rick is messaging me like, hey, we got this thing going on. And I'm like on the phone with a company who potentially wants me to try out their DTF machine. So that's what we're talking about. And then I'm like, okay, I got on the phone with them. And then I got another call from a guy who's like, hey, are the shirts ready? Can I come pick them up? And I'm like, yeah, okay, awesome. Right. And then another dude's like, hey, can you drop off my shirt since you're going to this one area? I'll pay you for gas and all this stuff. And then I get a call from my tax person. A lot of this stuff sometimes just kind of hits you, like, right there. And you have no downtime to rest until you have time to rest. You know what I mean?
So,
man, and now we're here.
So I think the biggest reason some people do not start a business is because they're afraid to fail.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is that don't plan to fail, plan to succeed. Make every time that you make a decision financially, make it within your means. Like you said, don't try to keep up with the Joneses. No one's in competition with you. Stay in your lane. It's like you do embroidery, you do DTG, but you didn't just start doing it all at once. You kind of slowly start expanding it. So like me, I'm getting into laser engraving. We were talking last night and the day before. You know what I mean? Like it's something I want to do, but it wasn't something I want to do right away. I would love to do embroidery, but you know what? I'll have you do it because it's not
exactly. That goes for the laser engraving. I want to do laser engraving. I just don't have the means to do it right now. You know what I mean? So I can be like, hey, Rick, like, let's, this is something we have to have a conversation on after the video. Like, we got to set up a series of promo videos so I can't offer that service and just outsource that business to you. You know what I mean? But we'll get into that like another day.
Right. So everyone just kind of get a background and understanding, like really like what you're getting yourself into. And we're not discouraging you in any way. We're giving you the reality of our work life, our family life, and what you really should expect, because you're only going to get out of your business what you put in. If you sit on your ass and you just went and bought something or did something, hey, it's totally different if you just want to get geeky into something, do it as a craft because you want to make stuff for yourself. That's a different conversation itself. But we're not talking about crafters. We're talking about business owner operators, someone who's trying to provide for your family. So I think we've kind of really gave everyone the nuts and bolts of our background and what our real intentions are in this video. So let's get into it. So this video is about DTF versus DTG, the pros and cons, and what we really think from a business standpoint, from a consumer standpoint, and what do we think? So,
okay. Do you want me to just like dive into, you know, like, okay, because
I will ask you this. So
Okay.
we were both doing DTG,
Mhm.
and I made my decisions to go one route. What made you not? What made you reserved to stay in the DTG realm?
Well, first and foremost, people, I am the DTG god. Okay, so, you know, it's funny. I was given that name on YouTube. I did not give myself that name. That name was given to me by a bunch of people that were watching my stuff in the early days, right? So the reason why I did not make the switch is because DTF machines right now are running off of old, discontinued parts. As of right now, like the machines that they're running out, and there's always been so many hiccups with DTF that it really is now just starting to, you know, really do something detrimental to the industry in a good way. You know what I mean? And the reason why I stuck with DTG and not got rid of it is because with DTF, even though it is not a transfer, like a vinyl transfer, there is adhesive powder with properties in it that still make it feel like a vinyl, well, not even just the appearance, but the feeling. It still feels like it's paper when it's actually not. This right here, the shirt that I'm wearing, this is DTG fully, right? And it feels almost like screen printing. The reason why I stuck with DTG is because I still love the authenticity of how the design feels on a t-shirt. I love the fact that with DTG, you can still get the crazy blends without any borders or weird edging look effects. Like, I can create a design that fades directly into the shirt. I mean, here's an example, like on the sides here. You know what I mean? But if you were to do something like this with DTG, you're getting like this hard creased edge still. There really is no fading with DTF. I'm sorry, with DTF. And I just feel like you can get absolute ideal like imagery with DTG versus DTF still. Not even with a digital hybrid transfer, you're still not going to get the blends and everything that you want. Nothing's absolute still with DTF, but you can have a great digital print with direct to garment. You know what I mean? And I'm an artist by trade. You know, I went to school to be an animator. I did not finish school and whatnot. But the integrity of people's artwork is super, super important to me. There are some jobs that are simple enough for DTF. And there are complex jobs where you need DTG. You can't just throw DTG out the window. And people go, oh, well, DTG is too expensive. It's not that it's expensive. I mean, I'm pretty pricey. I'm not going to lie, like in terms of my artwork. But because there's value provided behind what I'm printing. You know, everything I have to offer to the clientele is so much more than just the dollar face value of what you see for DTG pricing, which is why I still get business to this day. And then I only do DTF on net tags or certain things that are on the sleeve or polyester material. Because with DTG, you can't get in these weird spots. You know what I mean? Right. That's the only downside I see DTG to be. You can't go in DTG on some shoes. I mean, companies will do it. Right. Doesn't mean it's going to last. You know what I mean? Right. There is no absolute all fix-or-all with DTG. No, there is no all absolute fix-or-all with DTF. Completely no. But people that are going, oh, I switched to DTF only, it was probably harder for them to grasp the reality of DTG. And that's okay, because DTG is not really for the faint of heart. It's a hard skill to have mastered. You know what I mean? Right. Even this day, like certain times I learn new things, or I just spoke with a guy who set up a meeting with me. And this happened. I was on the phone with him, and I'm like, oh, damn, we just messed up the shirt. And he was on FaceTime with me, and he's like, oh, now you got to throw the shirt away. You know, that's lost money. And I was like, no, it's not. Watch this. And we fixed the shirt while it was on the plat and sent it through the printer again and printed perfectly fine.
Right.
But a lot of the times when there's mistakes in DTG, people just assume that you have to get rid of the shirt and it's gone. You lost money on ink, you lost money on the shirt, whatever, time, pre-treat, all that stuff. With a transfer, you can just go, oh, I'll just print another transfer and then be good.
So,
but yeah, right, and it's cool that you can just print another transfer and be done, but you don't have the same integrity as a DTG print. There are certain DTF prints that might last longer also than DTG. But I've printed my shirts. I've gotten to a system to where I can print a shirt like this, wash it a crazy amount of times, and it still look crystal clear. This has been washed a couple times. I mean, and look at that. You know what I mean? But if you're saying DTG is too expensive, you're probably working with people that actually know what the hell they're doing. And then if you go to somebody who's like, oh well, that's actually cheap for DTG, you might want to run, because sometimes they might not know what they're doing, and then you're not going like, oh, well, I should never went to that company, right. Or you're so just upset, I'm gonna do DTF, but then you realize it's not looking the way I wanted to. You gotta have these two different business structures have two completely different things. They're not the same, and it's hard to compare apples and oranges, but they're fruit though.
Right.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's your DTG and DTF, they're like fruits in that sense, but you can't compare them because they're apples and oranges. You know what I mean?
So me doing DTG, I guess it just kind of like clicked. As far as, so I went to graphic design school. I went to Westwood. So I was always kind of a proud BC student, right?
Yeah.
And I went to Westwood, and I would get like 135%. I made the dean's list. I was acing all my classes.
Nice, yeah.
And I dropped out. And I went to the dean. And I said, I want to withdraw. And she says, why are you withdrawing? I says, look, I'll be honest with you. This school's not cheap. You're not teaching me anything. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, look, I'm a proud BC student. There's nothing wrong with that. And I would struggle for those grades. If I'm completely acing these classes, you're not challenging me. You're not teaching me enough. So what am I paying you for if you're not teaching me? I could teach myself then. So I do understand graphic design, and that's early on. I think when I started following you on YouTube was because I saw a lot of the graphics you were doing, and it was really dope. And I remember you doing the canvases and stuff like that too.
Yep. And that was all my original artwork too,
right,
so I get it.
Right. So I made this shirt with a $100 bill on it, and I made the color so perfect that when you put a $100 bill next to it, you couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
And it looked like that hologram effect that was in the dollar bill. And when I did that and I put that out in the Chicagoland area, it was like, that put my name, like that made my name in this area. And people were like, whoa, you could do that with DTG?
Yeah.
That was like, so like you said, nothing's perfect, right? Nothing's flawless, right? But my biggest complaint about DTG was a lot of people like wearing hoodies. And so dealing with guys in the trades that I mostly deal with, like, look at this. This is a Carhartt shirt, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So if I was to give them a T-shirt, I can't give them a Next Level, a Bella. No, I need to give them a Hanes Beefy tee, because if it doesn't feel like this, they're like, that's crap. I'm not going to go to Michael's and buy 89-cent T-shirt. I'm not a crafter. I'm a business owner, right?
Yep.
We're in different lanes, and I'm not hating on those people, but just we're in different lanes.
Yeah, it's a whole different structure.
Right. So the thing is, so I was providing these services for, landscapers, everyone in the trade, people in the union. So they expect a certain level. They want a thick hoodie. They want a thick shirt. The shirts are no problem at all, right? Because a lot of times it's full print on the front. And a full print on the front, to me, that's like DTG's dream.
Yeah.
That's like if you want like I do a lot of rest in peace shirts, unfortunately. And COVID was a lot of things too, because people weren't having funerals. If it's a full color, high resolution picture in the front, that's DTG all day long, because you can take that photo that they took and stick it on the shirt and you will not see a difference.
Exactly.
And I could say up to 110 washes on a good pre-treat until it starts looking like, it's time to get new one. And look, I can go get my uncle's shirt that I made when he passed away. I wear it probably at least once a week. He's like my father, right? And I don't even want to make another one. I kind of like
the fact that it's got like it's getting this vintage look to it. I got shirts like that too, 100%.
Yeah. So my wife's like, you should make another one, and I almost did, and I said, nah.
You better stop.
Yeah, I was like, nah. I kind of like it like that. You know what I mean? And when certain family members see me wearing it, they're kind of like, oh man, that's cool. You're wearing alcohol off your shirt. But so Pretreat sucks. And when I mean Pretreat sucks, it's like spraying starch over everything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like my monitor, so it's certain things like you don't realize, like my monitor, because it has I'm using the webcam. If I just turned that on, it'd look like, you're like, what the hell is that? I take this towel and like wipe it off, and it gets everywhere. It's kind of like sticky, and it's like random places. Like I literally carry like huge bottles of alcohol.
Yeah.
And I spray this and I wipe everything down with alcohol. My wife's like, why does it smell like alcohol in here? Because it's sticky, and that's the only way. If I spray alcohol, I buy it by the 1 gallon, and it'll just wipe right off. I'm not just instant, and everything's clean. I wipe my machine down with alcohol. Everything's alcohol. It's like I run a surgeon office or something. But so I just Pretreat to me was like, you know what I mean? Just the overspray, the things like that,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the DTG Box, the people hate, so I was able to, I was playing with, parchment paper, Teflon sheets, and only way that I see that I couldn't get rid of it, and I tell people, go away, it was red. And I don't know about you. Red?
So I actually have the Pretreat box down to a science.
Right.
And I don't give this information out anymore,
right.
Because I stopped giving it out because people don't like, they get advice when it's free,
right,
and they decide to squander it, right?
Right.
They fuck around and they twist and turn things on their own, so getting rid of the box is a myth, right? But you can get it to a point where you can virtually make it invisible to the untrained eye.
Right.
And so with red, I just did 100 red shirts probably like a month or two ago. You cannot see a box on those at all. I can.
Right.
But if you were looking at those shirts like straight on, you'd be like, how did he do that? You know what I mean? But right. I've gotten to that point though where I can go, I'm good. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, go ahead.
I tell people with red is like, it'll go away. They're like, what do you mean? Because most of the time I always say it's hot off the press.
Yeah.
When I'm making a shirt, like they're like, is it done? Yes, they're on their way. It's very rare that I have anything sitting. Like, they're like, is it ready? Is it ready? Is it ready? And I'm like, when it cools down, it sits probably like 3 hours later. It's almost hard to see. And I've got every other color down to, like you said, maybe you or I'd be able to see it, but nobody else would even notice it.
Exactly.
But red's the only one that I think that like it needs some downtime to kind of make that the fabrics return to the way that they were. And the only other thing is when you put DTG is when you're going to those. Okay, I guess if you're just printing like a basic logo, like two colors, something like that, DTG is fast.
Yeah.
But that shirt you're wearing right now, like that's crazy detailed, crazy amount of colors, highlights, lowlights. Yeah. You may even have some grayscale in there. So there's that takes a while. That's a high resolution photo, literally, that you're printing on your shirt. So that's the only thing that I would say too. At some points, when it's a high resolution image, it takes longer. And
mm-hmm.
so
I think that's another thing people don't like to really touch on is speed. When I had the Onmi prints with Freejets back in the day, 12 to 15 minutes on a shirt really at first was just like 15 minutes for a shirt. I don't care. I'll wait. Whatever. Cool.
Right.
That's because you're just first starting. But then when these orders are piling in, and you're going, print faster. What are you doing? You know what I mean? And
my wife's like, "Why are you watching it?" I don't know. Right? Why are you watching it? I don't know.
It's almost done. I swear. Right? When you're sitting there going, like, like, right? And then as you get older, orders in, you're just like, I'm never gonna get this shit done, right? Never. But then there are other machines you can upgrade to. I have the Epson F2100.
Right.
This is a full 16 by 20 piece. This is printed in 4 minutes and 24 seconds.
Right.
Which is phenomenal for the size and the color and the detail. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if I was doing, like, I got a run of 20 shirts after this phone call, and I got to get to the airport at like 1:45, or go pick up a person by 1:45. But it's literally just a white text, white and red text across the front, probably like 5 inches in length,
right.
and then 10 inches or 11 inches in width. That's gonna print less than 2 minutes.
Right.
20 shirts, I'm gonna get done like super fast. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of DTG.
Yes.
But it would probably take a little longer, maybe, if I had to do the transfers if they weren't already printed for me, right?
Right.
If I had another company do the transfer, the DTF transfer, I can just go, just swipe them on there, bam,
right.
good, be done. But the thing is, if you're doing DTF in your house or in your home or whatever on your DTG machines, it will probably take about the same time, if not more, when you're doing it yourself.
A converted printer, yes, I would definitely agree.
There's another time,
right.
a time crunch that you also put yourself in.
Right.
And if people go, oh, DTF is faster. I'm like, well, how are you doing it then?
Right.
Because it really makes no sense if it is fast or not.
Yes.
There really isn't. You know what I mean?
That's a topic I'm definitely going to touch. But there's huge differences in when you're comparing speed. You know, are we talking a $3,000 an L1800 that's been converted? Or are we talking a fully not converted, built $45,000 machine? Those are two separate, you know, major leagues, minor leagues. You know what I mean? So I'll get to that, you know. But another thing is the placement. So DTG to me, I could do easy on ARM if I wanted to. You know, they sell all those custom platinums. There's even some companies that make like some pretty badass stuff. I haven't done it, but I wanted to for a long time. The All-Star shoes, the Converse.
Oh, yep.
DTG on the, you know what I mean? And
I've printed out some Converse before, yeah. It's
so, you know, just they make, and a couple of companies have wanted me to, like, you know, showcase those platins, like, hey, put this in, you could do it. And I just was like, God, honestly, I thought they'd be so much a headache, and those shoes are not cheap. If I fucked them up, it wouldn't be worth the money that I made. Like, dude, I just ruined a $50, $60 pair of shoes. I wasn't charging you $60. I mean, I guess if I want to charge you $80 for a $60 pair of shoes, and I screw your shoes up, and I gotta buy a new pair, and I still made $20, you know what I mean? Because there's gonna be a learning curve in anything you do. You're not gonna.
In anything you do, yep.
Now, if Payless still existed, I might have a different story. Because they used to sell those knockoffs for like $12. I'd be pushing out some bootleg imitations.
No, I mean, we've come a long way. You could get some bootlegs if you wanted to. Cheap.
Yeah. So, you know, and DTG, I think that if you're buying, there's a difference too, but buying a DTG converted printer, or if you're buying an actual DTG printer. And I guess in some ways, even the purchased ones, unless it's an Epson printer, not like an Omni printer, because those are still converted. They're still converting them. They're using Epson print heads and designing it. So,
yeah, exactly. And we are moving forward towards, you know, having really good DTF machines. I'm not knocking that at all. But a lot of the times, even from companies overseas, they're using parts that are discontinued, and you can only get them from overseas.
Right.
And they're having machines with the language barrier. Not only that, you know, the machines break down, and you're asked out because now your point of contact is on the other part of the world where you are in a different time zone. You know, it's hard.
Yeah. So one pro that I would see DTG versus DTF for DTG is that supplies. And the reason that I say that is that I'll keep touching on this topic a couple times, but supplies is hard with DTF because so many people are rebranding it. They're purchasing it from overseas, they're taking the labels, they're throwing it away, and now it's so-and-so's ink. You know, and so you don't know what you're buying. And then a lot of times you don't know the expiration dates because they rip that off. So sourcing a reputable seller sometimes is difficult, you know, because you know, hey, you buy a bad batch of ink, you ruined your printhead. How much is that
Yep.
going to cost you? So you spent $1,700 in supplies, and now your machine doesn't even work. So with DTG, I mean, Kodak, we can go on and on and on, all these different brands, you know, but they're run of the mill. I mean, it's almost like it's like a Walmart type purchase. You know what I mean? I mean, Amazon, everyone sells it. You know what I mean? And no one rebrands the ink. So if you like a certain brand ink, I'm not even like sharing saying buy this ink. I'm just saying, you say I like this ink, you can buy it from 40, 50 different people. You know what I mean? And because they're not rebranding it, you know, like, oh damn, they're out of it. All right, I'm gonna go and buy it from someone else.
Yep.
Or I'm gonna jump on Amazon and buy it. Maybe $2, $3 more, but Amazon Prime, I'll get it in 3 days. It is what it is. I need it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that to me, that's definitely a pro for DTG, that the supply chain is like a standard.
Yeah, it's high, and I mean, because you have like the textile, DuPont, and like DuPont being like the biggest company.
Yeah.
And then these companies are distributing that same ink, but it's virtually the same. You know what I mean? Everywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
Right.
I mean, you know that perfectly on the head.
Right.
So.
And because of that, it's easy to duplicate your results. You know what I mean? Because if you're buying from someone who's rebranding an ink, sometimes they're price shopping too. So you have a certain result with a certain ink, and the next time they buy a batch, it's not even the same ink. I mean, they're still putting their label back on it, but it's not made from the same manufacturer. So sometimes it's, you know, cyan, black. Black's huge too, because I've had black it's black, but it's not like black.
It's black, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And you're like, oh, do I got to shake my inks? What's the deal with this? Why is it not like black? Because people tell me, like, Rick, why do you print white on white? And sometimes I would. Or why do you print black on black? Well, it depends when I'm printing. Sometimes it has like a layered effect, you know, a raster effect. You know, I will play with that in the layers and the graphics, you know. But if it's not a black, why were you going to print black on black? Because then it looks it looks like gray. It doesn't look like, you know what I mean? So yeah. And then to me too, the footprint. DTG, I mean, for the most part, they're desktop style prints, right?
Yeah.
And if you were to get the same size footprint in a DTF, that's a small converted printer. That's exactly what you're talking about, in the sense that this is probably an Epson 7880, you know, or an L1800 or a P600, P800. These are converted smaller desktop printers.
Exactly.
So is it capable of printing DTF? 100%. But are you on a commercial level to compete with your printer? No.
That's exactly not at all. You know what I mean?
So if you want to start that route, and that's the route you're going because you want to get your feet well, hey, that's on you. But I'm just trying to compare apples to apples, right?
Yep.
So yeah. So and then the other thing is that most of the DTG printers are 110 volts. So a lot of these DTF printers, if they're not from stateside, they're from overseas, they're 220, 240 volts.
Yeah, and you need the power output to really
run it.
You know.
Right.
So if you have no intentions of bringing an electrician in to update your power supply, or you don't have an office space adequate enough to handle that power, you're blowing circuits, fuses, and you're potentially damaging your machine.
Well, or you don't own the house.
That's exactly that too. You can't make those changes because you don't own the house. Exactly. You know what I mean?
You're renting. No, you can't put a new, do this in the house. No, you can't mess with the AC panel. They're not going to let you do that. Or if you did it behind their back and they find out, the landlord could, have some real consequences and repercussions. So to me, those are the reasons that I was reserved in staying in DTG. Because I had great results with DTG, and I was like, man, why do I? It's like the devil and the angel on your shoulder, right?
Yeah.
And it was like the devil's like, go DTF, that's badass. And the angel's telling me like, stop, you're doing something good. Why are you gonna try something new? You know what I mean?
The difference.
But why was I attracted to DTF in the begin with? Was tags, arms.
That's why, like I said, that's why I do it. I just posted a video on my Instagram of me DTF. I embroidered the side of the hats, and then I DTF printed the front of the hats, and it's a foam trucker hat. So it's a polyester mesh that if you were to put a crazy amount of heat on it or just keep putting trauma on it, it's going to start to virtually melt, right?
Right.
And or just like kind of subside that way. So we did embroidery and then we did DTF. So DTF for the oddball jobs is perfect.
Right.
If you're trying to compete with, like you said, when it comes to the footprint size, if you're trying to compete with a company on size-wise, you're not going to get it. And you can go to reputable DTF companies. They will only go up to 11.5 by sometimes not even the full 16, right? Now, there is 4 more inches to play with when you're going in length to the full 20 or 21, right? And then you have the width of 16 inches. So if you're at 11.5, you're missing the other, 4.5, 5 inches that you could be dealing with. So you're looking at going like, oh, like, these companies are like, DTF is faster, more reliable. But it isn't really, though. It really isn't if you're really thinking about doing it yourself, though.
So,
you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So here's my point to the DTF. If you're on a desktop style printer, if you're on a converted style printer, the havocs, the maintenance to keep that printer running, if you're not running it daily, sometimes outworth the risk to purchase it, right? That printer has to be run daily. That printer was not originally designed to run DTF. Can it? Yes. If you are constantly maintaining that printer, you can have phenomenal results, but it's slow. That's it. So you can't say, you have 2 DTG printers, I have 2 DF printers, we're going to put them head to head, because it's the thing is, to me, is that the maintenance on that DTG printer would be a lot less than the maintenance would be on a desktop DTF printer. You'd have way more maintenance. Now, if you were a well-seasoned DTG printer and you print a DTF printer, you might be like, all right, cool, no big deal. Like, I already know the headaches that come with this ink, because you do deal with that on a DTG expert, right? But if you're coming off with no experience at all, a lot of these people they're doing sublimation, and all of a sudden they think, okay, I want to upgrade. What's my next upgrade? And their next upgrade is going to be DTG or DTF. Now, if you've never done DTG and you jump straight into DTF, that's why you see these people, man. It was like they did this. What was it? When the government gave all that stimulus money, Facebook was flooded with people buying those printers. $3,000 printers, $5,000 printers. They were just buying them up, and I was laughing. I was like, man, wait 6 months, and everyone, the price dropped. What people were willing to pay? I'm like, wait 6 months. Wait 6 months. When these people bought 2 print heads already, got robbed twice on ink. And all of a sudden, now all those printers are for sale. And that $5,000 stimulus money is just wasted. And
real quick, I want to insert. I'm glad you said this, because that was another thing. You're seeing, and the horror stories of people buying these cheap. And I tell people, stop being so fucking cheap when it comes to this stuff. If you're really jumping into the industry, you got to jump into. You're putting both feet in the water, not just your toe, right? Or you're doing the cannonball into the fucking pool. If you try to go cheap, you will get cheap results that will have you spending more and more money than you initially wanted to spend, right? And I tell people this all the time. And then with the DTF printers, like you said, this is huge. And I'm not biased, because I do DTF in my house, just in a different way, with my DTG printers. Remember that, people. You can do DTF with your DTG printers. And so these DTF machines, yes, if they're not constantly, and the most expensive ones too, if they're not constantly ran, they are going to clog, and you're going to see some serious output issues.
Right.
There is a guy, his name is Angel. He goes by Angel Boy on Instagram. If you're familiar, I'm not sure if you are or not. Okay. So he went from DTG to selling his DTG printers to now doing DTF exclusively, right? And great DTF prints, don't get me wrong, but he's always rolling up these images, printing out images and having to roll them up and use that printer, because if you're not using that printer, it is going to take a dump on you. And that's something that is not disclosed often, because companies don't want to tell you that, obviously. You know what I mean? With my DTG printers, I was in Hawaii just in May for almost 2 weeks, and I came back, printed fine. Like it was like I never left.
Right.
If you were to do that with the DTF printer, whether it be a desktop converted DTG printer or a bigger, expensive, more unit, it's going to have effects of it being clogged and badly clogged or damaged.
Right.
And again, that's just something you got to wrap your head around. So if you wanted to dive into DTF, look at DTG printers and see if they're capable of doing DTF. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have the best of the both worlds. You know what I mean? On some Hannah Montana.
There's definitely, and I haven't tried it, but there's DTF, DTG ink. I haven't tried it, so I can't speak on that, but I know it does exist. But to me, if you go commercial on a DTF printer, there's no comparison. It's a game changer. But the difference is your wallet.
Yeah.
You know, so to me, it's like saying when somebody asks, what's better, a truck or a car? That's a stupid question. They have different purposes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, there's some badass DTG printers, there's some badass DTF printers. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So, are you purchasing a printer because you want to print your own shirts? Are you purchasing a printer because you want to print for someone else? Why are you purchasing this printer? You know, so that makes a difference too, because the volume you're outputting. So, if you have a commercial DTF printer that's at least 24 inches wide, right, then you can print those 12 by 875 wide prints, you know, or you can print a large, a 5X, a 6X shirt, you know, because, hey, I'm a little fluffy myself. I mean, you definitely been hitting the gym a lot harder than me, but, you know what I mean? I'm at least a 2X or bigger, you know, and, you know, so, and I don't like my clothes all snug on me, you know, so a 6XL shirt, it's hard to do it's scary too, because you know how it moves and you got to tuck it right and you're worried about getting ink on something, you know. So when you can print 24 inches wide and you flip the print the other way, you know, that's phenomenal, you know. But here's the thing too. So DTF has kind of got a bad reputation because they say, hey, it has a vinyl feel. I think it's two bad tastes that people got in their mouth. Either one, it was crap. Like, it looked great, it washed horrible. You wash it and it started cracking, right?
That's what I'm saying, exactly.
So that is bad ink, bad powder. Okay?
Yeah.
So the other thing is they say, hey man, it's durable, you can stretch it, it looks awesome, it has great wash, resistance, you know, but it feels like vinyl.
Yeah.
That's bad ink, bad film. So if you have the right amount of white backing, because just like DTG, you put a white backing and then you put in a color, right?
Yeah.
If you have the right amount of white backing, because you don't have, if you put too much white, it's going to be too thick.
Yeah.
So if you have the right amount of white backing, mirrored or with the right film and the right powder, it will feel like DTG.
Yep.
So it's taken me a long time to buy ink, to buy powder, to buy film, and then so I may buy ink from this person, powder from that person, and film for that person, because that person's film sucks, but their color, their CMYK is great, but their white sucks, and this person's white is good. So it's taken me 2 years to know I can buy wholesale direct manufacture this film. If I need it stateside, I know who sells it, rebrand it. Same thing with the ink, same thing with the powder, you know what I mean? But, you know, that's thousands and thousands of dollars that I've spent trial and error to mesh multiple brands together that I know that creates a result that if I gave you a DTF print and a DTG print and I put them next to each other, you're going to go, dang. And not a lot of people, I think, can do that. And I'm not saying, like, I'm great. What I'm saying is I wasted a lot of money to figure that out. Like, you know, I failed a lot of times. You know what I mean?
That's the point we made at the very beginning, like when it comes to selling this information out. Guys, I'm telling you, if I was to just drop the information that I'm like, oh, I'm the best DTG printer right out the gate, you don't know who the fuck I am, this, that, and the other, and I'm selling you a course, 9 times out of 10, it's bullshit.
Right.
Now you have somebody like Rick or me who's been vetted into this process of going, shit, we spend money on fucking up, you know,
Right.
and that's just that's the reality of it. That's how you learn, right?
Right.
You can without success. I mean, without failure, there's no success,
Right.
and so you have to fail in order to get to that succeeding point.
Right.
And the only way you get there is by trial and error, and you can only know what you're really talking about is if you failed multiple times. I didn't do DTF at first is because it was whack. I couldn't put it out. You know, people were asking, "Oh, I see you doing it. I see you doing it. Sell it." I'm not ready yet. I'm not confident.
Right.
Confident. Now I can go and sell DTF or do DTF for my customers and be completely confident about it. You know what I mean? But again, this is all trial and error, and from experience, you only get to that point if you are taking on spending, the amounts of money to make sure everything is right. Like with my Epson, I work in cartridge-based ink system, right? A cartridge-based ink. And
so you're using OEM. You're not using refill cartridges?
No. I'm using. So I can say this, and I don't mind saying it. I use Creek ink for Epson.
Okay, I know him very well.
Creek, Creek is awesome. Anthony over there, perfect.
Anthony.
They're really good people.
Yep, Anthony's good. I was just talking to him yesterday.
Yeah, right. Yeah, really good people. And so my thing is though, I was speaking to Anthony, and I was like, Anthony, I want to make my own cartridge, and he's giving me the sauce a little bit, but it's going to cost money. And then, if I wanted to take a different route towards these things, and something I want to do eventually, but I can't just go, hey guys, invest in me because I'm going to, have new inks, but blah, whatnot. No, it's more so like you have to spend the money to fail in order for it to get right. You know what I mean? Yep. And that's the only way you're going to do it. And that's the only way you're going to grow. You know what I mean? So I get that 100%.
So I started with DTF with a converted printer, like you were saying. And a lot of beating my head against the wall, a lot of learning the software, Accurate was really buggy, and it was, there was like 3 or 4 different RIP softwares that I was using, for these converted printers, and just, I guess, I'm happy that I did it. My wife may not be, because I wasted a lot of money, but I'm happy that I did it because I can take a printer apart completely. And on DTG, I never really had to do that. I mean, it was maintenance and blah, blah, blah. But on DTF, like, if you don't know what you're doing, you screw that thing up. Like, you'll blow motherboards. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So now from scratch, I'm not intimidated from a printer. There's nothing, a cap station, there's nothing that I feel uncomfortable doing on a printer. I will take it down to nothing. I could, like disassemble it like I was doing a gun or something and put it all back together. And be like, okay, no big deal. You know what I mean? There's nothing that I feel intimidated, and that was a journey and a process I had to go through. Like, stop trying to skip the struggle. You know what I mean? There's no get rich quick scheme. So if I was trying to jump into something when it was just first coming out, there's gonna be those hurdles. So the people who are starting DTF 2 years from now are gonna be like, "You're an idiot." Well, it's like, yeah, dude, like those problems are long gone. Like, I was a early, wagoneer, starting in Oregon Trail days. You know what I mean?
This is why I've been so successful in DTG, I think, because I'm glad I didn't start with an Epson. I would probably never buy a Ricoh printer just based on from what I've seen and what I've used. I've had an Anajet before, and then there's companies like. I can't even remember the name, but what I'm saying is not important, really. It's more so just like I had the Onmi print, the Freejet 330TX Plus, and that printer alone gave me so many issues, and I'm fully transparent about this. And if it makes you uncomfortable, I want to give the wholehearted truth of like how I got here. The Freejet broke down so many times. Really good printer when it comes to printing, though. But mind you, it's using old Epson parts, right? Sure. And so it broke down so many times to where I feel like support was not helping me. So I literally took apart that entire printer, and I was able to put it back together again.
Yeah.
That $27,000 DTG printer, I had it on my garage floor, assembling it back together. And you can't tell me shit I don't know about that printer. I will give you the ins and outs. And if I wanted to, just based off memory, I can go build it. Right. right? And that has allowed me to grow and maneuver and handle stress in ways that most people would go, fuck DTG, I'm not doing this anymore. Me, I go, that's not bad. You just got to do this, da 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 da. And it's allowed me to grow further because taking on those risks and understanding that you can't become complacent with just letting shit just fall apart.
Right.
You have to be able to fix or troubleshoot on your own.
Or you have money to pay somebody else to fix it.
Oh yeah, exactly. But that information will take you eons ahead.
Right.
Just apart from you just going, I want to do DTG one day, and then get into it, and they go, oh, this is not for me. It's a paperweight now. That company sucks. This, that, and the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So my point is that the reason I'm doing these videos is to try to eliminate the bad reputation that DTF has take the hit on, and it took a hit on because people are selling prints who have no business selling prints.
Yeah.
And like I said early in this video, there was like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, there was 6 of us that were really doing what we're doing. And there's not many of us left. So there's a lot of new faces. And all these guys got big egos. I'm in here, I could do whatever. Selling prints, somebody says, I want prints. They immediately reply, I can sell prints. And a lot of these people don't have business selling prints. And the thing to me is that, like, if you get a piece of equipment, you should be only printing for yourself. If you can't afford to print for only yourself for a month, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Because you need to learn your machine. And you're going to run into problems. You're going to run it. I don't care if it's DTG. I don't care if it's DTF. I'm just saying in general, like, you need to learn that machine. You need to give yourself time to play with it, understand it. So when a customer tells you something, you're still going to feel nervous and whatever, but at least you know your machine. You know your equipment. You know your capabilities. You know the equipment's capabilities. And then you're just going to learn as things go on, when things break, how to fix them, right?
Yeah.
The power of YouTube, looking it up, or asking somebody who has the same printer, and they'll help you. And those things will come with time. But just no matter what route you choose, DTF, DTG, take your time. Learn the equipment before you start telling people you're going to start selling stuff. Learn it for yourself. You know what? Sell to your mom, sell to your family, sell to your friends. Say, hey, dude, I just got this. Start there. Start there. And if it doesn't look perfect, your mom or your cousin's not going to complain. You know what I mean? And it's cool. I'm still learning. You know what I mean? And but you don't want to sell that to the baseball league down the street, because you'll never get another shirt from them again. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
no business.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm ready to make the next plunge into the DTF commercial printing, and I'm going to do it. But it was a journey and a process to get there, and there's no comparison to a desktop converted printer. This is a printer that's specifically built to do DTF on a commercial level.
Yeah.
Something that would take me, let's just say, on a DTG 8 hours, I can do it in 2. Printing, right? So I still got to press them, right? But I'm saying printing, like head to head. If I have them right next to each other, printing, right? So I still got to take it off and press it and all that. So that's an extra step.
Yep.
But the difference is the cost. So the cost is more, but what would be your return? How long would it take you to recoup your money? You can't. But you got to have the finances in the pockets to make that happen. So there's an old saying, you get what you pay for, and that's it. And some of these manufacturers, they are taking dual head printers that are in these large printers and mini sizing them, so that you can say, okay, well, I can't afford a $35,000 printer, so I can get a desktop size, but the insides of that big ass printer is in this little one, it's compact. So those are coming readily available. And you touched a good topic when you said overseas. So when you buy a printer that's overseas, they're like on a 13-hour difference in us.
Yep.
And I only know like 2 companies who are overseas who are not just flat out rude. I've been on a call with somebody remoting into my computer, troubleshooting a printer that was under warranty, and they just disappeared for 45 minutes. And then they come back. I'm like, dude, where you been? I took my lunch. What do you mean you took your lunch? Oh, I'm at lunch. And so like on the state side, we're like customers number one. The customers always first, go above and beyond. And overseas, they're kind of like rude. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And they do things that to us are like, what? They closed down for a whole month. It's vacation.
Yeah.
A month?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, like factories like just shut down. Like that doesn't happen here. You know what I mean? It's Christmas Day. If I want to go to Walgreens and go buy beer or nothing closes here. We're like Walmart's 24/7. We've gotten so spoiled and used to Amazon. If I want something now, I got Amazon Prime. Have it tomorrow. You know, hey, depending on where you're at, I may have that same product today. So I think to really get to a level playing field, that you have to purchase a printer that's either from a U.S. seller or that has some type of U.S. support.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, could you save money buying it direct?
You got to do your research. You know what I mean? Like,
So if you bought it direct overseas, you could probably save some money, but then you might be ass out when something breaks. You know, and I'm not saying that there's not reputable sellers that wouldn't help you.
100%,
You know, I'm just saying that, like, word to the wise, like when you're buying something you're more or less gonna have to make payments on, you kind of want to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. So another thing too is that with DTG, it's pushing the ink into the fabric, right?
Yep. I remember the T-shirt. Yeah.
So with DTF, if it's not good film, if it's not good powder, if it's not good ink, it will fill a vinyl. You will fill a lip. If it has good material, you won't.
Yeah.
You won't. So, and here's the other thing. So this shirt, not all shirts have this, but if you were to zoom in on this shirt, sometimes you look at the shirt, you can see like lines, like just how the right. So like if you use this type of shirt, this is awesome for DTG or DTF because it like pushes it in, it like sucks it in. You can kind of like see it in those grooves that the ink is like sucked into it, right? Or if you went to like a next level shirt or a Gildan Soft, they don't have like that groove. They're just like super.
So ring spun cotton is spun sideways, right? So you're really not seeing it on a vertical. You're seeing it more on a horizon aspect. But again, you would still have to really, really get into that T-shirt
So that's those different type of shirts are going to have different results. Less fallout, no cracking. So I'm going to show eventually. I want to share with you. We got to do another video. I'm going to take a DTF print, pull it off film, and stretch it like this. Now, if I can do that not on film, not on a shirt, how durable do you think it's going to be on the shirt?
Yep.
Okay. And then I'm going to put it on the shirt, and I'm going to do this. Now, if it's too thick, it's going to sound like what? It's going to sound like vinyl.
You're going to sound like you're just going
right. But if I put on a DTG shirt and I do like this, you won't hear nothing. I tell people all the time, close your eyes. Like, what do you mean? Close your eyes. Okay. Rub the shirt. Dude, why are you getting all weird? Like, just rub the shirt. Like, because I'm wearing a shirt. Can you feel where the print starts and stops? No. That makes me happy. That to me, that's a level of success, of trial and error to be able to achieve that. See, because what I see is that anything on the market is mimicking or attempting to mimic DTG, because DTG has set such a high level, right, that you're trying to achieve the same results. And the other thing is that a lot of these printers, you got to be careful. They may be fast. When you ask them what's the resolution, they're printing at 720, like 320 by 720. Some weird. You're like, what is it? 320 by 720. Like, what is that? I never even heard of 320 by 720. What is that? Like that's not a drop down menu in my printer. Like that's not even. So So be aware of that too. Like if you're trying to compare apples to apples, I guess the big thing to compare the two is you may not be able to compare the speeds, but you for damn sure can compare the resolution. Look at the resolutions. Look at the support. Who's going to support you? Or do you have overseas support? Do you have stateside support? Right? And then, like you said, is this a converted printer or is this a built printer? Because am I buying a converted printer that's it's a discontinued printer that's been converted? Now, when something breaks and this fly-by-night company doesn't exist, can I still buy this? Or did I just buy an $8,000 paperweight?
Yeah.
So those are just things really to think in. So these are the decisions from a business standpoint, like that you got to think about long term. And I know whenever you purchase a piece of equipment, it has a lifespan, right? And that's kind of like every time you're making money, you got to put a little money in that cookie jar because eventually it's got to be replaced.
You gotta reuse that. Yep.
Right. Uh-huh. So and that's fine, but the point is that just know that the machine itself can be repaired and continue to be used. and just stay in your lane. So if it means you want to do DTG, if you want to do DTF, you want to do both. Don't try to compete with you. Don't try to compete with me. You know what I mean? But at the same token, there's nothing wrong with forming allies. Hey, dude, I got a customer who wants some shit. They want a DTG. Some people are just hell bent on DTG. Hey, bro, will you do it for me? I'm running too many prints of DTF. Cool. Hey, dude, Rick, I'm going to do a ton of DTG shirts. Can you print me 500 neck tags? I just want to press them. I got Hytronics hat press, and I'm pressing away on all these tags. Or I want to brand every single one of my shirts going forward. There's not a shirt that's not going to come out of my shop. It's not going to have my shirt. I'm going to use the hangless, tagless shirts. I'm going to rip them out and put my tags in them. That's phenomenal. Especially now you can print QR codes. You know what I mean? Boop.
Yeah.
Print a DTF QR code. Boop. It's still DTG on the front. You got a QR code in the back. Like, that's awesome. Like, and to be able to print on that level that it works is awesome too.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, that's a good feeling to have, knowing when you did everything right on a shirt and it gave you the goldenest, like, best results.
Right.
I mean, customers happy at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
And mixing things, mixing embroidery with DTG, mixing embroidery with DTF, DTF with DTG. There's nothing wrong with that, But most people don't have the means to do both. They have to make a decision. So just be aware of the pros and cons of anything, because DTG is not flawless, DTF is not flawless. Just know that DTF is in early stages. So
yes, exactly. And people think, no, DTF has been this. There are hybrid transfers out there, people, and people mistake them for DTF prints.
Yeah, plastisols and things like that, even silk
transfers. So exactly, and that hybrid print has been out longer than DTF has. So you really have to do your research and understand what you're getting into. If you're going to jump into it, like I said, I jumped into DTG all in,
right,
and I made that my main goal,
right.
And then added on the embroidery, and then added on the XYZ, the stickers and shit like that, But 100% out of the time, or 98% of the time, it was only exclusively DTG. And to this day, it is exclusively almost all DTG for me,
right.
But you might become the DTF master.
Yeah.
Cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
Awesome, great. But in order to become that master, you have to want to learn, and you can't give up when shit goes sour, because it will. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, just do your research. Do your research.
Absolutely. So that's my main real big point of this, is that there nothing is flawless. They both have it, and you can't compare a built Epson DTG printer to a converted whatever printer DTF. Like, they're not in the same leagues. Now, if you have a commercial grade printer and a commercial grade printer, they are in the same league. But that DTF commercial grade printer may be a little more money than that DTG printer. And I'm sure eventually those prices are going to come down. And the reason I think the prices are probably going a little high is because supply and demand right now. Like, with COVID and everything, our supplies, like parts, boards, circuit boards, all that kind of stuff. I don't care what brand it is. Like, a lot of that stuff still comes from overseas, right? The circuitry, the cabling, all that stuff, like little small things, like all that stuff's made overseas. It's not made stateside. So I think, and eventually, as they work out their supply chain issues, or things kind of go back to normal, if they ever do, then you'll see those prices come down. Or also at the same token, when the levels of those printers being, so I'm sure if a dealer's spend $500,000 importing parts and built a printer, and they sell 3 a month, their price is going to be this price. They start selling 100 a month, their price is going to come down. So there's going to be a supply and demand thing that I think eventually that the supplies will be on the same level as DTG. And the only way that's going to happen is people start being honest. They got to stop ripping labels off and rebranding labels. They got to stop ripping off expiration dates. These bad taste in people's mouth that DTF has is because people are being dishonest.
Yep.
You bought a 1 liter of ink for $22, and you're selling between $65 to $99. You're making decent money off people. So there's no reason to sell them expired ink that's going to make them spend. How much it cost you to replace your print head?
Right now, if I was to replace my printer right now, it'd be like, I think it's like $2,400. But I got my warranty, so, but that's why I didn't have.
But that's the point. Okay, so they took a $22 bottle, $22 to $28, and they sold it to you between $65 to $100 a liter. That's kind of like different people are going. So they still have a good profit margin in there.
Yeah.
But by selling it to you expired because they don't want to eat it. Like, damn, I didn't sell this in time. Now you put that in your printer and you ruined a $2,400. $60 bottle of ink just cost you $2,400.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why it's important where you get your supplies from. An honest seller, someone who's not going to sell you expired ink, someone's not going to sell you bad ink, and someone's not going to just sell you all different types of ink. You know, with their same label on it, because they're price shopping all over, and whoever can sell it to them the cheapest, that's what they're importing and they're throwing their label on. So so I think that there's lessons to be learned.
No, there's so many, and man, there's so many lessons to be learned. There's so much information I can provide to steer people in the right direction, because people get pushed in the wrong direction like so hard. I mean, I myself was so naive as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I said, all this comes with experience. And if you're not, going to do your research, and you go, oh, I'm looking for the easy way out, and you try to buy somebody's, all fixer-all course or whatever, you're still going to get steered in the wrong direction. You're going to get fucked over, So at the end of the day, do your research, dive into something, not half-ass, and learn and grow, become a master in your field. You know what I mean?
And the other thing is that be genuine, be real.
Okay. I'm glad not to cut you. I'm glad you said that. When you're starting a business, it is absolutely important to be your authentic self. Me personally, I am one extremely blunt individual.
Me too.
And they come off as asshole-ish or rude. But then when you talk to me, you're like, oh, you're not that way. You're actually pretty goofy, funny. You like how you are. That's me. But the one thing people cannot say about me is how I'm super authentic.
Yeah.
If I can't do something comes up. That's just life. You know what I mean? Whatever. I don't like to bullshit people, because I understand what that's like, getting bullshit thrown in my face. Right.
Right.
100%. So if you are in this industry, or in any industry for that matter, whether you could be working at McDonald's, be honest and be your true, genuine self. Do not pretend to be anybody that you're not, because it will get exposed in some form of way to where you get fucked over, or not fucked over, or there's like some bad, ill intent behavior now is shifted, or your energy is shifted into this way, and bad shit starts to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Higher power. Like I'm not even wearing I have this pyrite crystal bead bracelet. It has wealth citrine on it for finance, and then I got amethysts on there for protection and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I am my authentic self, but there's nothing wrong with a little help. Whether it is believing in God, or whether it is having these crystals to act on your side, to prepare yourself for all the harsh shit that can also come at you when you're doing good. Don't ever try to change to fit in, and don't give in to temptation of, being, a bad person. That's just not how you want to operate your business or live your life in general. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. And I think it's important too to gain friends in the industry. And it's not like I'm using you. No, it's just to really just, you gotta kind of like, I keep saying this in some of my videos, it's like going to the gym.
Yeah.
Gym's real clicky, right? So the DTG, the t-shirt game is real clicky. You gotta try to find your group and grow in there, because at some point in time your machine may be down. At some point in time you may have an issue with a part. At some point in time you may have an issue with supplies or a customer. The thing is, you don't ever want to turn down business. Let's just say that you just are so busy you can't do it. But this is a great customer. That one job that you can't do, they go to someone else. They may never come back. So when you have, nobody says you have to go online and say, hey,
I'm looking for your prints.
Yeah, hey, so-and-so did my prints. As long as you know that they're doing the same quality of level of prints you're doing it, just keep your mouth shut. That's business. A lot of people outsource things. That's standard practice. But the point is that You have to develop those relationships to know, like, that's your reputation. You can't say, well, he made it. Well, I didn't pay him. I paid you. So
Yep.
you develop these relations to people. You know, like, okay, I know that if I get in a situation that my boy will back me up, you know, or my girl will back me up. And it's important to have those, you know. And then at the same token, too, it's like, I'm sure our wives or your husband, if you're, you know, getting sick and tired of you just venting, telling this fucking printer, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's 3 o'clock in the morning and my dot's green on Facebook and I get like, damn, dude, I'm so pissed off. But because you can't talk with somebody else that does it. They don't get it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, that sucks, dude. I'm sorry, man. You cool?
Yeah.
You don't understand.
I 100%. I get it 100%. So, and I want to say, you know, like, yes, make friends in this industry. Realize also in this industry or in any business industry that you're going to also lose these friends along the way because you find out their real intentions. And then the ones that you do have these relationships with, you know, have that open bond because, like you said, sometimes in your industry, your field, you have nobody to talk to except for the person that, you know, that is also in the business with you. Like, I have a really good friend, his name is Jared. Talk to him like almost every day, and he's in the same line of work that we do, and we have learned to grow together without a conflict of interest, you know, telling the goods and bads and stuff like that, and allowing ourselves to prosper. There are a few people that, you know, just fall off and go, I can't fuck with that person anymore. I don't wish him any bad. I just don't fuck with him anymore. You know what I mean? So realize that you're going to make friends. You might make friends for the wrong reasons. You got to learn early on who's, you know, in your corner and who's not, you know, but having these connections is super important when you, like what Rick said, when you can't do something and you need help, but you got to understand who you're working with, you know, as well.
Yeah, we name dropped a little bit, or at least I would say I did a little bit early on stating this video, and it wasn't to put ill intentions or I'm the same kind of person. I won't say anything not in your presence I wouldn't say to your face. You know.
Yeah, so that's why I even said the names that I said, you know, and then I can go on and list, you know, because I've been doing it so long. And my goal here is not to make anybody seem in that bad of light or that character. However, you know, I have nobody else to be but myself.
Yep.
Authentic wise. You know, so if I mention a name, there's a purpose behind why I mention that name. If I mention a company, there's a purpose by why I mentioned that company. I'm not going, well, I can't say, that's the reason why I asked Rick here. If I'm like, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, let me know. Right. Because it's not that I have this open mouth of just spewing out shit. It's more so I have nothing to hide because I've already said this shit to these people or these companies that I have full disclosed, like, you know, hey, what you're doing is not okay. You know, it's wrong. I addressed it. You're still that way. You know, it's like.
Right. So there will be disgruntled people, right? So it's like a disgruntled employee, disgruntled customers, and maybe who got into something, DTG or DTF, who are not prepared or not knowledgeable or had no business getting into it, will badmouth one way or the other, right? And just do your research, do your homework, you know, and you know, start. I keep saying that, and I don't mean sound like a broken record, but just start at a level you're comfortable with, you know, and if that means outsourcing, getting something from him, getting somebody else, not even saying us, just anyone else, period. But just, you know, just to start, you know, that's what you want to do. And then if that's how you have to start, and then you start purchasing equipment, whatever, just make the financial decision, whatever's best for you and your family. And if you're married, you got to talk. You got to be real with numbers. Because if you promise your significant other, like, hey, I promise you I can make these payments, and then you can't, you're going to be in trouble. And that's why I would say I'm not pumping dumping. I haven't said not one brand, buy this, buy that, buy this. I'm like leading up to this, because that if and when I ever say, like, hey, I bought this printer, it's a monster can, I have to say, you know, and I have great success for it, and you decide to buy something, that if you've watched all these videos, that you should be able to be successful. And if you're not successful, it's because you didn't listen. You were like, oh, dude, it's an hour-long video. I couldn't watch it. Okay, dude, you're not willing to watch an hour-long video to learn something?
But you'll spend an hour on TikTok there.
Right. Or you'll go spend $30,000 on a printer you have no idea how to use. You don't know how to build your business, how to get customers, how to maintain customers, how to maintenance your printer. Like, you're only going to get out what you put in. So watch it. So I think that there's definitely another video that we have to do.
Oh yeah, we can go on. I mean, because honestly, I mean, I gotta get to.
Yeah, I know we gotta get going, but yeah. So,
but yeah, we can definitely do more. I mean, and like I said, if you want to get into like doing your business or whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. Do your research like Rick was saying, and then you will prosper. At the end of the day, you gotta be willing to work hard. Nobody's gonna hold your fucking hand. If you're old enough to start a business, you're an adult. You know what I mean? Yep. There are kids that, and I don't mean that like literally like you're an adult, but like in these $30,000 play moves and that are like these 6-figure numbers and things like that. You're old enough to understand that you need to, to put your feet on the ground and just walk a little harder than most people are willing to do, and you will succeed if you want to. If you don't want to, then you won't succeed. It's plain and simple. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we can, like I said, we can make another video of just going on, because I could talk about this shit all day in terms of what I think, you can do or how I can help and, whatever. But yeah.
So if there's anything we didn't talk about, there's questions you have, leave in the comments below. Let us know, and then we may have a second video. I was even thinking about at some point maybe doing a live video so that people can interact with us, and ask questions at the same time. That'd be kind of dope.
And I do this from time to time, and I fully disclose my transparency as well. Even on those videos, I have people that I don't necessarily talk to anymore that will join the live, and like I said, and I have them on there, like, and I like mention and I say hi, whatever, because I don't wish anybody any harm or ill intent. You know what I mean?
What's up, dude? He's been ignoring me. I don't know what the hell. That dude blew up, and all of a sudden, he forgot he's a Mexican. I'm sorry. I said it. I sent you an email yesterday. I'm like, dude, what's up, man?
People that you're gonna work with people that might blow up, and they will forget you. That's just how it is. But at the end of the day, just remain true to yourself.
Absolutely.
And doing a live, bro, I think would be super, super awesome.
Yeah. So everyone, thanks for watching. Just kind of, recap. You got two different perspectives. We were doing the same type of thing, and I migrated to a certain level, and I stumbled and I crawled on my knees until I could walk, and that's the point. And I'm walking now, but I'm ready to run. But there's a journey along that process. You can't strip this. There's no get rich quick scheme. You got to go through the struggle. That's exactly it. So, do you have anything you want to say before we close up this video?
No. I mean, I think it's pretty much said in terms of like how DTG and DTF are could be of the same fruit, but two different types of fruit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, if I had to excerpt, like it was kind of like briefly what I touched on already, but like, just put your best foot forward and go ham. There's no need for me to drop a shameless plug. I already gave my company. Yeah. And I'm not coming on here to promote myself or anything like that in that light. So if you want to find out who I am, you could do that research on your own. You know what I mean? Yeah. And
OnlyFans.
Find me on Feet Finders. I'd rather promote that. Like the whole purpose of this video is not to bring attention to myself. It's to understand that you are watching this, and you are watching somebody who has done this, and is continuing to do this, or continuing to do it. And so, now it's time for you to take this, dissect it, and do your own thing. You know what I mean? Whether that be DTG, DTF, or sticker making, or your next soda company, whatever the case. You know what I mean? And understand that to take apart from this video, the main thing is you got to work fucking hard for what you want.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say. So.
All right, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. If we missed anything, I know we talked a lot. Just leave it in the descriptions below. I thank you, brother. Appreciate you doing this. I know you're always busy just as well as I. We've been talking about doing this a long time.
Yeah, for a long time, I know. And I apologize, for some of the times I'm like, I got this, and then something else comes up, so I try to apologize for that. And thanks for just, for understanding situations, especially the holidays in this month is meant to me in terms of, my personal life.
Yep.
But I'm glad we got on here and into this, and we got to do more for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining us. Be ready for a lot more DTF, DTG videos. And at the end of the day, like I said, there's not one versus better than the other. I think that you got to know when to best resource one or the other, you know?
Yeah.
And when it's like saying, what's the best way to print a shirt? There's not a best way to print a shirt. It's why you should print a shirt a certain way, you know? And I think if anyone's going to tell you this is the best way to print a shirt, it's because that's the only way they can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, and we talked about doing hybrid things and just a lot of different things. And like you said, we can really go on to make this video super, super long, but I think we touched really the key topics, and just be ready for more, you know. And, you know, we're brutally honest. We're upfront. We're not selling you anything. You know, you don't see any links or anything, affiliates or anything. This is all just free 99 knowledge.
Yep.
Learn from our mistakes. We're admitting mistakes we've done. We're not on here like, I'm awesome, I never made a mistake, you know, let me put my crown on. You know, we're saying we've made mistakes, so learn from our mistakes, you know, and grow your business. So,
and at the end of the day, like I said, as long as you remain true to yourself, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna win. You're gonna win 10 times over. Oh, packages. Okay, guys. But yeah, no.
Thanks for joining, man.
No, thanks for having me. Let's do more, and I hope anybody that's watching, you know, has gained something from this video. I think you have if you stayed this long. You know what I mean? So for sure, I do appreciate you letting me come on here and talk to your followers, and hopefully I didn't ruin any relationships for you.
No, not at all. No, I always want to be transparent, to be honest. That's all.
Yeah, you know, that's the only person I know how to be. You know what I mean? I can't mask or shelter myself for anybody's sake of heart. You know, but I do have the common decency to ask you, if it made you uncomfortable.
No, I appreciate that. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, thanks again, brother. Thanks everyone for watching. God bless. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Yep. Peace. Bye.